Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Kuf Vav Amid Beis. Kuf Vav Amid Beis. We're in the sugya of when a person says something, what do they mean? What do you bring? And then if he forgets what he said, what exactly, if he forgets what he said, what exactly to compensate for the possibilities, what exists? So, Harei alai eitzim. A guy says it's upon me to bring eitzim. It's upon me to bring wood. Lo yivchais mishnei gezirim, not less than two logs, because we have two logs, shnei gezirim eitzim. So therefore, eitzim will say means two logs. Levaina, he says it's upon me to bring a carbon levaina. Lo yivchais mikaimitz, you shouldn't bring less than a kaimitz. Chamisha kamatzim heim, there are 5 shiurim of kaimitz in different places. For example, ha'omer haray lai levaina lo yivchais mikaimitz, as we just stated. Hamenadev. We got time for Kaddish. Anyway, Hamnatev Mincha. Hamnatev Mincha Yava Ima Kaimitz Levoina. You're making a dove of Mincha. You bring in a kaimitz with it. Number 3, Hamailes a kaimitz b'chutz. If you burn a kaimitz b'chutz, you can be chayiv karis. The share is a kaimitz. That's number 3. Shnei bezichin. And this is 4 and 5. Tu'unim shnei kamatzim. The 2 spoons that accompanied the lechem aponim on the shulchan were those were the other 4 and 5 of kamitzim. A person says harelei zav. He's going to make a neder to bring to the base of Mikdash gold. La yivchais mi dinar zav. Not less than a golden dinar. Okay. Kesef. La yivchais mi dinar kesef. There are 25 dinari kesef in zav, guys. By the way, you want to know it's 25. 1 dinar of zahav is 25 dinari kesef. Really, it's a tremendous difference. And to this day, gold is considerably more expensive than silver. Nechoshes la yifchais mima kesef. In other words, don't bring you're going to figure out the denomination based upon a silver denomination, but it means you can't give less copper than the amount it would take to go ahead and pay for a 1 ma of kesef. Okay, so similar to Masechta Kedushin, where we went ahead and we spoke about a pruta, which is a copper coin, and we went ahead and based it upon the Isra Talki, which was a silver coin. We're showing over here the Chayshes in the realm of silver, right? The amount you're going to give is what? Is for Masatav Zeda. So we don't give less than a mal kesef. Meaning you give it's in the chayshes, guys. You're not more kesef is a silver coin. You're not giving that. You're giving what? You're giving the chayshes, but what's worth more kesef. Now, perashti v'eni deima perashti. I don't know. In other words, I don't know how much money I said I was going to give. You bring until you know a person knows what they would give. Let's say a person usually gives let's say he gives tzedakah, usually gives $100. So once you get to 100, you don't, and guys, you're not going to get to 500 or 1,000, it's because you know what you usually give. You may give less, but once you get to your usual max, that's enough. So if you make a neder to the base on Migdash, the max, you go to your usual max. Otan Rabbanim. Now the pasuk says by mincha, it says the nefesh kisakr korban mincha laHashem, right? In the necker of kisakr korban mincha Hashem, the word carbon is extra. Yeah.
Would that not be true by the other cases by mincha and solas? That what a person could say, and then
then a person would, what would he say if a person knows that he would always, again, I always give him marcheshes. Now I would go ahead and say I said the word mincha, so I could say the following. Since I always give a marcheshes and I didn't say marcheshes, it must be maybe I didn't. That's why I said. In other words, you can go the opposite way, Rabbi, right? That in other words, because if I would give marcheshes, that's the normal thing I would say. But this is numbers. This is numbers. This is in amount. But in mincha, you don't know exactly what you're giving. It's a particular carbon. You have to cover all bases. But here's an amount. Okay, what's the scenario that you're asking on?
We were talking last night. We had 1,080.
Okay, so that was again. That's I have to take into account. I don't usually give. I don't have a usual amount of a mincha. I don't know. I'm wondering if guy usually gives a normal amount. I don't know. I don't know. I would not. I would think that then he would remember that.
Is it
But he's
better-
saying, I don't know. He's saying, he's saying over here, I don't know. So once he doesn't know, he doesn't know. So now it says v'nefesh kisakriv korban mincha l'Hashem. So the word carbon is actually Tanraban komid carbon melamish misnade eitzim. We had this before, fellas, that you can make a nedava of eitzim. You notice there's such a carbon of wood, meaning the wood itself. The kama, and as the Mishnah said, shnei gezirim. The amount is 2 logs. V'cheinu oimer. It says v'hagoyrolos. This is a pasuk in Nehemiah. And how do we know that a korban is called eitzim? V'agarolos hipalnu al korban eitzim. So you see, that's korban eitzim. It's called eitzim. Rabbi Omer, eitzim korban. If you bring a korban eitzim to una melach, the chol korban chatakrav melach, you have to salt it, just like you salt every korban. You have to salt the wood. V'tunum hagasha, and just like a mincha, you touch up to the southwest corner. You touch up the wood. Rava uladivrei Rebbe, and according to Rebbe, eitzim tu'unim kemitza. It's a mamash full mincha. You're going to have to go ahead and put it down to sawdust and go ahead and crush it up to sawdust and take a kaimitz and burn the rest. So it's no different than any other carbon mincha. Except you can't eat shirayim. Amra papa, l'divrei Rebbe, eitzim tzrichim eitzim. In addition, you need eitzim to burn the eitzim. You would need eitzim to burn the eitzim. It's another. You can't burn the eitzim and say to themselves, since it's self-fueled, right? It does. You can't have the self-fuel. You would need another eitzim to burn them. You don't say, it can burn itself. It doesn't need anything else. Levaina, we said levaina. Lo yivchais min hakaimitz. You should give less than a kaimitz. Makish levaina laharama. The mincha. We make it now. How do you know that the kaimitz is levaina? We make a hekesh between what levaina to the removal of the mincha. Maharama the mincha. When you go ahead and remove something from the mincha, it's a kaimitz. Af levaina nami kaimitz. So therefore, just like the carbon, the amount you take of wheat from the carbon is a kaimitz. Huadin, the amount of levaina is a kaimitz. Tan Rabbanan. A person says, Harei olai lemizbeach. It's upon me to the mizbeach. Yavi levaina. He brings levaina. Why? She'en lecha davar shekarv l'gabi mizbeach ela levaina. Right. That there's only something that's brought totally to mizbeach. Nothing else. Nothing to the kahanim. Nothing to anyone else except levaina. Levaina is the one thing that we're going to say it's totally to the mizbeach. As we're going to see in a second. Okay. Se'en lecha davar shekarv mizbeach. Parashti v'nadei parashti. Yavi mikol davar shekarv mizbeach. You'd bring everything. You bring an oila sa'if, and you'd even bring the sachim. You bring an oila sa'if, and you bring what? You bring the sachim as well. Fed Gemara, the suleka v'ika oila carbon oilis to the mizbeach. Guess the kohen doesn't get anything. So why don't you say when a person says I'm bringing to the mizbeach? Why doesn't he say it includes an oila? Ika oila kahanim. It's not totally the mizbeach because the kahanim get the skin. V'ika oila sa'if, that's totally to the mizbeach. It's not true. Amid Aleph, Ikam Rav and Night. So you have the crop and you have the bird and the feather that you're gonna get rid of. Fred Gemara Vik and the Sachim. You have the Nesachim, the Minchas Nesachim. So why do you say that? Why we say Harei Mizbeach is Levaina? I have something that you did Nesachim goes to the Mizbeach. Says the Gemara, it really doesn't. It goes to Shisim Asli. No, unto Mizbeach there was this hole that went to the subterranean deep, right? And that's where that goes. Ivik Minchas Nesachim. Says the Gemara, Kivin the mincha, the achli kahanim mine leipsikale. Since what there is a mincha that kahanim eat from it, and therefore it's what it's called and called the mizbeach. So therefore you can't possibly say that. So what's the kasha? What's the Gemara saying? Minchas esachim soilis yayin shemen. The whole thing is burnt, right? Again, the whole thing that goes to the mizbeach. On the Aish, the soilus, the yain, and the shemen. In other words, if you go ahead and you make an nesachim, it goes totally, we're saying goes to the shisim. But you have the minchas nesachim, that means the soilus that accompanies the carbon. L'chari, that's totally burnt. And for the Gemara, even the ikka mincha, the achli kahanimina, since it's called a mincha, that kahanim go ahead and eat from it, loy pesika, it's not what? It's not across the board that the whole thing is going to be burnt. And therefore, his das is not to go ahead and give it as nedava. Let's see Rashi. Leipsikle Dilma dava korev kulim mizbeach mishum minchas nesachim hoyel vika minchas nedava the ena kulim mizbeach. Since you have a minchas, it's called mincha. So you say harilayim mizbeach. Since it's a possibility that's called mincha, right? It's a possibility that's called mincha. and mincha is eaten by the kahanim, we won't say that's not what he meant. He meant something that's total in the mizbeach, and even though the minchas the sachim is total in the mizbeach, when he says the word mincha, and the mincha is possible for kahanim, like psikali. Hare olai zahav la yifles midina zahav. A person says it's upon me to bring gold, you shouldn't give less than a dinar of gold. Fed the gemara v'dilma nascha. Maybe he means a shtick. A nascha, the art school teaches an ingat. We teach nascha der Rabbi, guys, from Baba Basra fame, right? The nascha is a shtick. A shtick, in other words, maybe it's not a coin. Dinar zahav is a coin. Maybe it's just a piece of metal, golden metal. Rabbi Lazar dama matbeya, because he says matbeya. He says vidilma priti. Maybe what means small coins, not a dinar. Papa priti did the havli avdi inchi. People do not make small gold coins. I think many years ago they used to have $3 gold pieces. $3 gold pieces. Many years ago, I think they had $3 gold pieces, which are now worth a fortune. If you have one, it's worth. I think my uncle Irving, Oliver Shalom, had one. I think he had one. I won where it is, but okay. Anyway, they were $3 gold pieces, but they in those days they didn't have it. Kesef lo yivchas mi dinar. A kesef should not be less than a dinar. Again, that's maybe what it's a shtick of silver. Rabbi Lazar dama matbeya. He said coin. A dinar is a large coin, maybe small coins. And fellas, by silver you do have small coins, not as opposed to gold. Rav Sheshes ba'asud le'sagi priti de kaspa. It's a place where they don't have it. So speaking of a place where they don't go ahead and make small coins out of silver. If you say upon me to bring to the Beis Hamikdash bronze, not bronze, copper. It's upon me to bring copper. So in that case scenario, you bring copper the worth of a mar kesef. Tanya Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer, la yifchas mitzinura ketana shal nechayshis. You shouldn't give less than a small fork that what of the chayshes. In other words, he has a different denomination. He argues in the Mishnah. He says it's not a mar kesef, but even it could be a smaller amount. This mitzinoira, a small fork ketana shal. I don't know if it's small or less. What could you use it for? They would go ahead and clean out. They'd clean out the wicks, and they would whatever Rashi says of the menorah from the schmutz that was in there, it was used for that. Taisus looks at quick gander at Taisus, the second Taisus. Shemaichatin boas apsilois lav shal menorah. It's not the menorah. The milkochayim islahu. They had a milkochayim which is made of gold, guys. Guys, they had a milk of Chaim was made of gold. So shel shar neiros shahib migdash. Ella, it was for the shasheres. In other words, Tosfos has a problem with Rashi. Rashi says you used a copper tool to go ahead and clean out the menorah. That's not exactly the case. The case is where it's made out of gold. So therefore, Tosfos says it's for they didn't use gold they used gold for the menorah, but they used copper for other places in the Beis Hamikdash. Again, he's making a dove to the Beis Hamikdash, fellas, right? So therefore, it's practical that you're going to give a copper coin, a copper amount for something to be used. That's okay. Barzel, guys. What about barzel? Iron. Barzel, you say iron. Tanya acher moimim la yifkos mikalya oirev. You should not give less than what a kalya oirev, says Rashi. What's a kalya oirev? Mismaros chadin, sharp nails, toichvim beroish gag, that you go ahead and stick on the top of a roof, ha'hechel of the hechel, lechalos hu'ravim, in order to go ahead to stop the ravens, shal yeshvu alav. You go to the kaisel, guys. You go inside. What do you see? You see the spikes, right? They had spikes in the Beis Hamikdash because you didn't want birds going there doing what birds do, right? So they had kalya oirev, according to Rashi, with spikes on top of the hechel to stop them from going through. What? So okay, so. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see.
The is funny because they're not scared of the spikes. They sit on them.
I know they use them to fight the Romans off. They ripped them out.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Taisus Kalya Orev, Pirish Bekuntris, Mismaris Chadim, Taichvim Beresh Agag, Hechel, Lekalis Uravim, Shal Yeshvu Olav. Makamacha Pirish. Another place Rashi explains, Kimin Tavla Chada. It was like a tablet, sharp, Sukufa Al Sida, standing on its side, and it was very sharp like a knife. Called Perish, Asut Surah. They made an image. This is for the blog. Lavriach baya oifis migag, to scare away the birds. Ha'hechel. It was a scarecrow. The Kal Yorev was a scarecrow. Kiderech she'oisen achshav shoymei zroyim. Just like people now who make to watch seeds, the Karo is like Kal Yorev. If you ever see, sometimes they have on top of places they have an owl. They have like an owl. I think it scares off the squirrels or something. The owl, these owls. V'oid pirish ba'aruch. This is Hershel Yankelovich. Migdash rishon sheshchina shruya bay lehoyet tzricha Kal Yorev. In the first base of Migdash, it was unnecessary. Shalehoya oifis parchim alav, because the birds didn't come there. Avam bring the sheni shalehoysa just like Glushas Rishon chatzul Kal Yorev. Okay, so in other words, there's however, in the Mayid Cotton loy mash makain gabe bayishas shleima dachlu b'yom kippur ka'amar iboy l'shiyurei b'binyan purta. You have to leave over a little bit. Umeshani shiyurei binyan loy mishtari iboy l'shiyurei ba'amis Kal Yorev. Mashma, there was one. There was, according to Sebastian Pasha. There's a second side, actually. There's a second side that it was even in the.
By Shani, they had no. When the Romans getting close, they ripped them out to throw it at the Romans.
Okay. Anyway, so you have Klufei Deis, exactly what the Kal Yorev was. Okay. Anyway, back in the Gemara, the Kama, how much was the Kal Yorev on Rabbi Yosef? Ama alama. It was the one amma by one amma. It could yami loyivchas me amma al amma. If you make a neder of barsel, it should not be less than amma al amma. L'may chazia. Rabbi Yosef l'Kal Yorev for the Kal Yorev. It's the same thing. It's just you inverted the pshat. Says the Mishnah. Harei olay yayin. It's upon me to bring wine. Loyivchas. You should not give less than what mishleish loigin. Shemen. You say shemen loyivchas miloig. So this is according to Rabbi Tarfon. Guys, we have machloikis between Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva in a Mishnah whether you could go ahead and bring in a davar of shemen, right? We had a machloikis whether you could bring in a davar of shemen. This would be according to the opinion of what? Of Rabbi Tarfon, who says you can bring in a davar of shemen. Rabbi Yoimesh shloisha loigin. So guys, this is important for our sugya. Machloikis by shemen. Tanakama 1 loig, Rabbi 3. Tanakama 1 loig, Rabbi 3. Okay, let's just pirashti v'enu yidei pirashti. Yavi kiyom meruba. You bring like what? A very, very, very long day. We'll see Be'ez Hashem. We'll see in the Gemara exactly what this means. Tana Rabbanan says, Kola ezach yasa kacha es ele. Right? So it says regarding in Bamidbar Tesvav, regarding the Chatzia Hin, Revi'as Hin, Shlishas Hin, right? The Nesachim. It says Ezrach. Malamish shemisnavin yayin. That making the dove. Now this whole pasuk's extra, guys. So you're making the dove of yayin. The kama shleisha loigin. The uminayin shem ratza lahoisif yosif. How do you if you want to bring more, you can bring more. Talmud Loimar, it says yiyeh. We had machlekes earlier. Is kocha it means kocha yiyeh or shleishim chatzia hin yiyeh. Yachli yifos. I may think you give less. Talmud Loimar kocha, so it has to be shleisha login. Shemen lo yifches min aloik. Rabbi Yomer shleisha login. So here's machlekes. Tanakama shemen 1 like shemen. Rebbe 3 like shemen. So guys, let's be megader. Mincha, how much shemen in a mincha? 1 like. Yayin 3. So the question is, are you comparing shemen alone to a mincha and it brings 1, or do you compare it to yayin and it brings 3? Okay. Says the Gemara. What's the machlokes between Tanakam who says 1 and Rebbe says 3? Amru Rabbanan Kamei Rav Papa B'doin Mina. You learn out from it. Umina, and you continue to learn out from it. We had this many, many times. When you go to one place to learn out, do you learn out the one thing you want to learn out and then continue to learn out? Or you learn out the one thing and you go back to your place? So the question is, B'doin Mina, Umina, B'doin Mina, Vuki Basra, Kameflaki. Rabbanan Savri, Doin Mina, Umina. You're going to learn out and continue to learn out. Ma mincha misnadvin, just like a mincha, you can go ahead and bring in a dava. Av shemen avi misnadvin. So guys, that was my target. My target was just like there's such an adava of mincha, there's an adava of shemen. Now, if you don't continue to learn, you have no din into shemen. If you continue to mincha, if you continue to learn, then you'll go ahead and make the comparison to mincha. Umina, and now you're continuing to learn. Ma mincha, just like a mincha, beloig is 1 leg of shemen. Av shemen, beloig is also a leg. Good. The Rebbe Sava, doin mina, v'uki basra, you learn from it, and then you bring it back to its place. Ma mincha misnadvin, av shemen nami misnadvin, and that's it. That's all you're going to learn out. That there's such a thing called a minchas shemen. V'uki ba'asra, and then I'll go ahead and put it back in its place. Kinesachim, like nesach hayayin, man nesachim shleishas login, av shemen nami shleishas login. So again, we're comparing according to the Tanakama one loy because we're learning from mincha. Now we learn from mincha two things. One, there's such a thing as mincha shemen, and secondly, there's what you're going to get just like a mincha is a loy. So to this is a loy. The Rabbi is moida you're learning out from mincha, but only learning out there's such a thing called a mincha shemen. Then you go ahead, and you're going to compare it to the Nesachim, where what just like there is 3, so too is 3. Amalu Rapapa, imi mincha gamalei Rabbi. If Rabbi is going to learn it out from mincha, that there's such a thing called the mincha shemen, the kulyamalei pligi. Everyone would agree. Doi mina umina. Perish. Rabbi would be moida 3. In other words, if your source, if you're telling me Rebbe's source is mincha to learn out shemen, he would agree. He would agree 1. He would agree 1. Excuse me, I said 3. No, he would agree 1. Again, one more time. If Reb Papa is telling your pshat that he's learning from mincha, then he would agree with 1 because you continue to learn. Because doik mina umina. Hello what? Ella, where does Rebbe learn it from? Rebbe may Ezrach gamala. He learns out from Ezrach, right? He learns Labrius. He learns out directly from Yayin, fellas. Ezrach is speaking about Kocha. So just like, in other words, he doesn't learn out from Mincha at all. He doesn't learn out from Mincha at all. He goes directly to the source. Just like Yayin is 3, so too is Shemen 3. So again, according to the first opinion, he's learning out from Mincha. But and the Gemara Papa says if he's learning out from Mincha, then it's going to be what? 1 loik. But he's not learning out from Mincha. He's learning out from Kol Ezrach. He's learning out from Yayin directly. Amalei Rav Huna, Bered Rav Nasan, Rav Papa. Could you possibly say that Rebbe holds doik mina umina, and you continue to learn out, and therefore you had to learn out from Ezra, but and not to limit it to 1. Vatanya korbin malamishim is nadvin shemen the kama shloishel login. Guys, says korbin. What are we learning? Shemen. How much? 3. Guys, again, what are you learning from mincha? Shemen. And how much? 3. Man shamalei dama shleishel login Rebbe v'kamaisi lemi korbin. So Amalei Rav Papa said, Tanya. If you learn, you learn. Okay, guys, outside. Why don't we just say outside? Outside. Machlokes in the Mishnah, guys. Machlokes in the Mishnah. If a person makes a neder of shemen, how much does he have to give? According to Tanakama, 1 loig. According to Rebbe, 3 loig. Where do they know it from? They know it from the comparison to mincha. Why do we learn by mincha? Just like there's such a thing as a mincha, so too there's such a thing as shemen. However, and just like mincha is 1, so too that's 1. Says the first opinion. No. I know from mincha there's such a thing called mincha de shemen, but then I stop. I don't continue to learn. I then go back to Nesachim and I learn out 3. Says our Papa, no. If he's learning out from mincha, it's going to be 1. But Elwad is learning out from Ezra. He's learning directly from what? From Nesachim. He's learning directly from Nesachim, Ezra. So just like Nesachim is 3, shemen's 3. Says the Gemara, I got a brisa that doesn't say like you're a Papa. I got a brisa that says you learn out from mincha and 3. Who's the one that says 3? Rebbe. Where does he say the source is from? Mincha. So not Nesach. So it says with Papa. You're right. If you got a brisa, you got a brisa. I can't argue with that. Parashti v'erodei ma parashti. I explained, but I don't remember. Yavi, how much shemen I have to bring? Kiyom meruba. You know, how much are you gonna bring in yayin or shemen? Parashti shemen, I guess. Kiyom tamrisha. The amount of shemen and wine will be the same. Kiyom tamrisha shel chag shechal yis b'Shabbos. When Sukkot, the first day of Sukkot falls out on Shabbos, fellas, you're going to have, remember, you're bringing 70 parim, right? To Mechapa for the 70, right? The first one is 13. Okay, so you're bringing 13 parim, 2 elim, 3 kvasim, and if you do the math, you have 13 times 6 is 78. Ayot is 8, is 86. And you're going to be 3 times 18. You're going to bring 18. You're going to be 18 kvasim of 3. So you bring 14 plus Yantif, and you're going to bring the Tamidim, and you're going to bring Shabbos. So you're going to bring 18 times 3 is 54. So 86 and 54 is 100 watt. It's 140. It could be 140 esrino. Very expensive. Again, guys, be very careful when you open your mouth. Hesh, we gotta stay on our game. Matt? Yeah. Okay. Says the Mishnah. Hare alai oila. A person says it's for me to bring an oila. Yavi keves. Notice he didn't say which animal. An animal, it's a sheep. Rabbi Lesman is oimer. Oitar ben yaina. In other words, you don't have to get off so expensive. You don't have to bring a sheep. You can bring the birds. Pirashti min abakar. Now, you can't say birds and you can't say kevesh because he said, I explained min abakar. But I don't know which kind of bakar. Yavi par ve'egel. Then you bring what? A par and an egel. Good? So, because they're both bakar. So you bring a par and a calf. Mina behema v'eni yedei parashti. He said, I made an oila from an animal. Now, an animal includes what? Bakar and sign. Guys, a behema is a more inclusive term. It includes bakar and sign. So therefore, yavi par ve'egel, ayil, seir, gedi, utleh. What do all these have in common? They're males. Guys, these are all males because an oil is only a male. So you bring a par to cover an egel to cover the bakar part. You bring an ayil, a seir, and a gedi, and a tleh to cover the possibility of a sign. Pirashi and pirashti, and I don't know what I said. Moisav aleim then toru ben yaina. So I don't know what I said. You can include those animals in addition a toru ben yaina. If he says harei toida ushlamim, now shlamim yavi keves, you're going to bring stamazah. You're going to bring a sheep. Pirashti min a bakar ve'eni yedei ma pirashti yavi. Now guys, a shlamim can be a male and a female. A shlamim can be a male and a female. So now you can have many more kabamis. Yavi par upara, egel ve'igla. Okay. So therefore you said min bakar, so you're going to include what? Males and females. You're going to an ox, a cow, a calf, and a female calf. Min behema ve'ni yedei ma parashti. Yavi, guys, par, para, egel, igla, ayel, v'rechela, seir, seira, gedi, v'gedia, tleva, tliya. You got to bring all those because you have taken the possibilities, males and females. Harei lai shar. Yavi hu nesachav bim mana. Okay, you're going to bring a mana. Rashi tells us, guys, an important Rashi. Yavi hu nesachav imay bim mana. Kach nisparish tina b'toira shebal peh. So we have a Messiah. A Messiah is what? A mana is 100 dinarim. A mana is 100 dinarim. That's so you're going to bring, if you say a halaya like shar, you're going to bring a shar with its nesach of a total of 100 dinarim. Egel, yavi hu nesacha b'chamesh, that's 20 dinarim. Ayel, yavi hu nesacha b'shtayim, it's 8 dinarim. Keves, yavi hu nesacha b'sela, that's going to be 4 dinarim. Shar b'mana, now he didn't say shar stam, he said shar in a mana. Yavi b'mana chutz min nesachav. You're going to bring a mana, and then additionally you're going to have to bring the sachav. You won't be in the first case. You're able to bring for the mana. It's going to cover both the shor and the nesachim. In this case, you're only going to be able to go ahead and the mana. Egel b'chamesh, yavi b'chamesh chutz min nesachav. Ayel b'shtayim, yavi b'shtayim chutz min nesachav. Keves b'sela. So in each one of these cases, he's delineating the animal and the amount he wants to spend on the animal. Therefore, yavi b'sela chutz min nesachav. In all these cases, guys, you're going to bring it with except what excluding the nesachav, you're going to bring the animal. Shor b'mana. Now he says, I'm going to bring a shor for a mana. V'hevi shnayim b'mana. He brings 2 for a mana. So he says, I'm going to bring an ox worth 100 dinarim, and he brings 2 worth 50. Lo yatsa, he's not yatsa. Even if it's just missing a little bit, doesn't make a difference. Shachar, he said, I'm going to bring a black animal, the heavy love and a white one. Love on the heavy shachar, gadol the heavy cotton, a big one, a small one. Lo yatsa, he's not yatsa. Cotton the heavy gadol yatsa. However, if he says a small one, he brings a big one, he's yatsa. Rabbi Yama lo yatsa. Good, guys. Just look carefully. That's the last part of the Mishnah. When it says over here, you're going to bring a shachar, and you bring a love being shachar. Gadol behevi cotton layatza, cotton behevi gadol yatza, Rabbi Yom layatza. Comes out, you have the Chachamim saying you're yatza, and Rabbi saying you're not yatza. The first part is going to be, in the case of the par, guys, I say egel, and I bring a par. I'm yatza, right? Because I can bring a bigger one. So it's going to come out Rabbi, Chachamim, Rabbi. Let's see inside.
This Mishnah is the carbon calculator.
Yeah, no, the cone calculators. That's I don't know. Who knows what the price of animals will be? It's very nice to make up these amounts, but based on our times, where
It's anyway, even today there's a market.
it's a commodity. It's a commodity. But anyway, it was a cute thing.
Futures.
Right.
We should be buying. I really believe we would be buying animal futures. Just based on weight.
Hey, Penny, I just thinking the Shalom Zachar won't be cold.
What?
The Shalom Zachar won't be cold. Oh.
Well,
I was telling you, we have a cattle market because based on what you know where.
Wait.
Yeah, you buy a cow right now. It's based on weight. You go for anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000.
Soon as I find out, I'll post it.
All right.
Okay. Now, we said Oila, according to the Tanakame, it was a Keves. According to Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah, it was a Torah ben Yaina. V'loi pligi, mar kiasre. Each one goes according to what? His place. In other words, in the place where Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah was common to being birds, and in the place of Tanakame, Keves. Guys, turn back to the Amud Aleph for a second. Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah, two taisus in the second taisus in the bottom. Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah, oime yavi tor oy ben yaina, b'gemar arminon, the late pligi, the mar kiasre, each one goes according to his place. Frek taisus akasha, v'yafa pishoy regilim liknes karbonis b'Yushalayim, kid arminon moish shenimsul ifnei soichre behema, v'amru maisa, v'amdu kinim b'ravasayim. In other words, we have a kasha. Guys, any money that was found in front, they used to buy in Yerushalayim. So who cares why it wasn't their place, right? Who cares? They bought it in Yerushalayim. That's where they bought the Gabanis, and therefore, okay. Anyway, das hanoidel fi masha roya be'ir. Yeah, the das again by Nedarim you go after Lashon Bnei Adam. Yes, just go a little bit this way, so I can say thank. I'm sorry. So gotta make sure that anyway. So therefore they go after what's the norm of the place, even though they used to buy in Yerushalayim. Okay, says the Gemara. Tan Rabbanan. Harei alai oila b'sela lemizbeach. He says upon me an oila b'sela for the mizbeach. Yavi keves. Shein lecha davar shekara b'sela gam mizbeach ela keves. Shekara b'sela. Now he says ela keves. Shekara b'sela pirashti v'eni dema pirashti. Yavi mikol davar shekara b'sela ela gam mizbeach. If he says I pirashti, I read it wrong. Ela keves shekara b'sela. Period. Now. Parashti v'nedei parashti yavi mikol davar shekar b'selo gam mizbeach. The Rabbi Gershom says soilis levina, anything that would be in the category that you can be for that amount of money. Parashti min abaka v'nedei parashti yavi par ve'egel. Amai, why do you have to bring a par and an egel? V'leisi par mimanav shach. Guys, if the Chachamim say if you bring a big one, included in the big one is a small one. So if I say bakar, why do I have to bring an egel? This isn't included in par. Says the Gemara, money is Rebbe he. Who's the Tana of the Mishnah? It's Rebbe. Damar cotton of heavy godel yatsa. Now you got a problem. Remember I read to you the Mishnah. I Rebbe ema seifa, shor b'mana, v'hevi shnayim b'mana liyatsa. V'afilu zeh mana chasadina, v'zeh mana chasadina. Shacha v'hevi love and love and heavy shacha, godel v'hevi cotton liyatsa. Cotton v'hevi godel yatsa. Right in the middle, you bring the shita of what of. In other words, if it's Rebbe all along, why are you bringing the shita of the Chachamim who says cotton maybe yatsa yaitza? Rebbe Yomel yatsa. Reisha v'sefer Rebbe mitziyasa rabbanon. In Reisha v'sefer Rebbe mitziyasa rabbanon. V'hachi kamar dav zera. When it says par and you bring an egel, whether you have to bring both, it's machlekes Rebbe rabbanon. Like Rebbe, you have to bring both. Like the rabbanon, you do not have to bring both. You only have to bring a par.